Hello guys, good afternoon and welcome once again to Opinions and Reactions with Maggie. Okay, I know a lot has been going on, especially in Nigeria at this time, and of course it is me who brings you the details, the when, where, how, who said what, and why is this happening at this time. Especially talking about insecurity, like we have gone from 0 to 100 in no time. And if I remember correctly, this was one of the primary things that this administration promised to fix. But it's like, who are we kidding? Well, welcome once again to Opinions and Reactions with Maggie. I will be right back. Like I said, a lot has been going on, and just a few days ago in Iwariam, Anambra State, Nigeria, there was a clash between suspected Fulani herdsmen and the indigents. Now, what started this clash is something that we cannot say for sure, although investigations are ongoing and we are still to find out where this is coming from and where it is going. But bodies of beheaded people, which are yet to be identified if they are Fulani herdsmen or indigents, have been found in different places in Iwariam. And so far, the government have not brought out any statements concerning this, what is going on, not the state government, not the federal government. Now, speaking of insecurity, like I said, the Federal House of Representatives are currently working on a bill to ensure that military organizations institute a law that enables the female officers to wear hijab. In case you don't know what hijab is, it's an Islamic covering, you know, that veil, the cover, and you can only see their eye. And now it begs the question of what is the priority? Where are their minds? Are these people actually in this same Nigeria that we are? You know, this morning there was news that Boko Haram were planting flags in Niger State, and the House of Assembly is instituting a bill to say hijab is their problem. Well, I'm not going to be giving you this gist all by myself. I have with me on set today a senior legal practitioner, managing partner at Azi and Azi, and with me here is Barrister Nonso Azi. Hello, Barrister. Yeah. Sorry, I had to bring you into Nigerian issues, but of course, who better to tell me the what, where, how, you know, and the legal perspective to these issues than a learned fellow like you. Yeah. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Maggie.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to be here. And the Nigerian question is a very tough one that at times when you look deeply, you don't even know where to start. But what is happening now has a lot of societal implication. You know, let's not even talk about the legal implication, because the laws are there. The laws are there, but the problem is implementation. You know, in your introductory speech, you said that the administration, you know, that one of the issues or one of the things they said they were going to do was to ensure that, you know, that we live in a secured society. And without mincing word, it is very clear to say that the government has failed abysmally in securing lives and property. You know, virtually any day will pass on without you seeing reports on people who have been brutally murdered, beheaded.
Exactly, not a single day.
Bizarre way. So essentially, you find out that the Constitution of Nigeria, you know, the president, the executive arm of Nigeria, part of their job is to secure lives and property. So it's an essential constitutional role of every government. Does it mean that government can guarantee 100% safety of lives and property? No. But a reasonable government, you know, ought to be seen, you know, not just to, you know, play with the words, but to actually take steps in the protection of lives and property. So I agree with you. I mean, it was a campaign promise, but beyond campaign promise, there is a natural constitutional duty that the federal government owes to its citizenry to protect lives and property. And I think, in my own estimation, they have failed in that.
Just like, of course, we just had a question. Now, someone is asking, why are we here? What is the way forward? What's causing all this?
It's $1 million question, and I think there may be no right or wrong answer, but I think it's an accumulation. You know, they say little drops of water
makes an ocean.
So it's a reflection of of years of neglect, there are some fundamental issues that the federal government should have looked into. You know, you have seen the several national conferences we've had.
Yes.
You know, there's been this agitation for, can we come together and look at our ground norm, which is the Constitution? Can we come together and look at
Get a
whether
referendum
it's an appropriate documentation that should guide the relationship between the different tribes in Nigeria?
Diverse
And remember that historically, Nigeria coming together as an entity had a sort of a bizarre history. You know,
True.
not because it is anything out of place. You know, there is strength in diversity, as they typically say. But the bottom line is that it is always good that when you bring different tribes, Nigeria is made up of over 250 ethnic nationalities. When you bring them together to stay under one legal entity called Nigeria, as time evolves, it's always good for you to review the terms of staying together.
Yes.
So the agitation for a sovereign national conference, the agitation for resource control, we all know that some of the issues that ought to have been addressed have not been addressed. So to answer why we are here is as a result of lip service on the part of government.
Yes.
Government has not been bold enough. Government appears not to have been courageous enough to address the fundamental issue. There is something we say, you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. So those who believe, you know, those who are Christians will understand that. They say, if the foundation is not strong, what can the righteous do? Or something like that, you know. It is a foundational issue. It's a foundational issue. It is not because the different ethnic nationality cannot coexist. We can. We were coexisting before 1966. But the point is that when you look at history, you find out that our leaders, our foremost leaders, developed the country, the nation, on ethnic line. It is an issue of, a cultural orientation, because there are countries that have diverse people.
Sure.
A country like America is made up of different, the different forms of people. So the problem is not really whether Igbos will succeed. If we should split Nigeria into small, tiny bits. The problem is, have we negotiated the terms of staying as one? Are there people who are marginalized in real terms, not imaginary? Are there people who are not getting what they should get? Yes, politics is about who gets what. But when it is skewed to favor a particular class of people, a particular group of people or nationality, you begin to question, should we really stay as one? Or should we go back to regional government where the different regions were allowed to develop in their own capacity? And I think it can work, because I don't know why the federal government will have hands in every single thing that happens in every state. So it's more like a servant.
But then, sorry for cutting you short, but then a president of Nigeria, I'm not going to say if he's a sitting president or a past president, knowing that Nigeria is a federal state and the federal government have a hand in each state of the country, said that 97% of the country belongs to one sect of the country, while the rest belong to the others. In a democratic, I still believe Nigeria is a democracy.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Well, we are supposed to be a democracy. We are fashioned to be a democratic. Whether we are because democracy has principles: separation of power, rule of law,
so where did the idea
independence of the judiciary. If all these elements are not there, you don't have democracy. So I can safely say that we have a pseudo democracy, or we want to tell ourselves that we have democracy, because we copied democracy from America. So when you look at America, you see that there is a clear-cut separation of powers. That the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, the three major arms of government,
checks and balances,
they have their roles clearly defined. And then there is checks and balances that the president does not become too powerful. The legislature can check him. He can call him to order by some legislative means. Then we have the court, who, after you have done all your shenanigans and all that, the court will still give their stamp to endorse or to say no. So the president can act, but if the court says no, you've acted ultra vires, you acted beyond your powers. Then there's a balance. But in Nigeria, we have a case of where the federal government, the state governments, they don't obey court orders. Recently, I mean, I'm a lawyer, and you see that all the courts in Nigeria are closed because of the ongoing strike of judiciary workers.
Problem.
And when you look at this constitution, the constitution has granted, somewhat autonomy of the judiciary in that monies accruing to the judiciary should be paid to the heads of courts. And here, the President Muhammad Buhari, had given an executive order following the constitution. He need not even give that order, but just because of his interest in seeing that judiciary is independent, he made an executive order which the governors have refused blatantly to obey.
Do governors have such powers?
I mean, because the money comes to them, but the constitution has said you should pay it directly to. So, I mean, the allegation is that governors, so to speak, do not want to lose control of their state. It's an allegation. So that if the judge of a state receives his car from you, or receives his sustenance or allocation to court, comes to you, comes through you, he owes you an allegiance. But if you make them independent, they cannot go out of their way to, be able to exercise their discretion. And you see, in most cases, when a case comes against a state government, I mean, before a state high court judge, more often than not, it is believed that the judge will tend to, try to balance the interest. Unlike in the developed world, where you see that a judge can look a president in the eye and say, what the executive arm of government has done is wrong, is ultra vires, and it is not valid in law. So these are the nuances and the challenges that we have in Nigeria.
So it's Mr. Nonso, you've said quite a lot, and I totally agree. And it's really a thing of concern to say that Nigeria is in a state right now where, given the fact that, to me, I said we are in a state of anarchy. I may be wrong. I mean, that's why I have you here to,
Yeah, you are correct to a large extent, because anarchy means a state of lawlessness.
Lawlessness. And then,
if there are laws, people would not, the laws are meant to be obeyed. Though not always. There will always be people who will, disobey the law. But the beauty of a working legal system is that there will always be the bad boys. There will always be the armed robbers. There will always be the thieves. There will always be in an average society. But the point is that there is also the security agents, the secret service, who will be up and doing to fish these bad boys out and ensure that the war between good and bad, that the bad does not win. What it appears in Nigeria is that the bad boys have an upper hand. They are running amok, they are going berserk, they are just like a loose cannon, wreaking havoc in their wake.
Is it safe to say that this is happening because the government or the agencies in place actually have their attention focused elsewhere?
Where?
That is the same question we're asking. Because if they were focusing on these issues at hand, on actually tackling the problem, leaving tribalism behind, leaving politics behind, remembering, the promises they made, the oaths they took before coming into office, would we be having this same problem? I mean, it's just like the case now of them, NBC, banning Channels TV and fining them 5 million naira for hearing. In every case, there are two sides to a story, right? It's like the media is just here to tell everybody's side of the story. And I think that is what Channels TV did. Now, Channels TV is being banned. That is censoring their sense, their right to.
Well, that is, one thing you have to understand about freedom of speech, freedom of the media, is that it is never absolute. It's all relative. So, what you can say is that in the case of Nigeria, what is the relative relative weight, should the NBC have done? They have rules and regulations which I don't have the details here. So at times government will try to censor, so to speak, in parentheses, some information that they feel will incite the public. Violence. But there are rules. And I know that if you look at the rules, if Channels Television feels that the censorship, so to speak, by government is a bit high-handed, there are legal means. They can go to court, or they can, through administrative process.
That is
challenge
the problem. Is it the
decision.
same courts that are on strike?
Yeah, but I mean, it all boils down to the national issue we have. It's actually
You get what I'm saying.
It's a very dicey.
It's like right
and
now
critical
Nigeria is
situation.
stuck.
Yeah,
we
are
can
stuck.
go forward.
Yeah,
we can go
back.
backward.
Do you know what it means that the courts have been closed for? This is the third week now that the courts have been closed. There are people who were on the verge of getting bail from courts. You know, criminal suspects who have been brought to court and you know, for bailable offences, because virtually all offences are bailable except cases like murder case and all that, murder allegations. So if it's a bailable offence and a young man or a young woman is brought to court and the court have granted him or her bail, I know some guys who were, the day they were supposed to perfect their bail, because when a judge has granted a bail, you have to do some administrative work through the court registrars and clerk so that you can get your freedom. You are still standing trial, but someone has come to stand surety for you that he will or she will provide you whatever you are needed. Then some of these guys just woke up and saw that the court has, you know, that the court have gone on strike, and they have to be taken back to the prison.
Wow.
So another thing, people who need documents.
It buttresses your points where the bad guys are winning.
Yeah, so
you know, the court on strike.
Court on strike, and nothing is being done about it. The Minister of Labour and Productivity, you know, has not really handled the matter very well. I remember the other day, Josun representative had to walk out after waiting for 2 hours. You know, these bottlenecks and all that. It actually should be a national emergency that judiciary workers have shut the court down, because
it should be an emergency.
Judiciary is believed to be the last hope of the common man. So when the last hope of the common man is shut down, that means if your right is trampled upon, if you have breached a contract between you and I cannot go to court.
I cannot do it.
So maybe people will, the tendency is that people will begin to resort to self-help. People will begin to resort to self-help. I mean, you are owing me, I'll either use the police
or carry boys and come
or carry boys, you know, so which will collectively lead to anarchy. Because when I begin to take the law into my own hands, you know, if I have a civil contract with you and I breach it, and I have to use, let's say, area boys or some bad boys to come and get what I feel is due to me, that is not what is a society as Nigeria should become, you know.
It's quite sad. It's quite sad, really. And another major concern that I have is the fact that, like I said earlier, when these things are being brought up, you know, let's talk about them. Let's devise ways, you know, to handle this thing. What is the way out? What is the way forward? Most of the answer, in short, the particular answer that we get is pray about it. How long are we going to keep praying? They will say Christians go to church and pray. Muslims go to mosques and pray. I mean, for me, I believe we've prayed for far too long. And that brings me to the next topic. That is what is giving some religious leaders some form of power that they get to hide behind atrocities they commit. Now, I'm not going to say this thing from out of the blue. I actually have a story here of a pastor, a 50-year-old pastor, who raped a 70-year-old girl who came to his church for prayers. You know, and this girl's parents knows the pastor. She had actually come home to report that whenever I go for prayers, this man abuses me. And they tell her, he cannot. That is the anointed. He brings anointing oil. Like, what is going on? Because it tells her that there is no place of safety. The church are telling us to go and pray. The female is an endangered species there. Be it your wife, be it your daughter. And I say this with all seriousness. I know how many women are being... Sure, let me not go further. Like, what do you think of this situation right now?
The truth of the matter is that we have a society that is religious.
Too religious, if you ask me.
Churches, but not godly. If your religion does not make you to become disciplined,
a better person,
a person who can sacrifice his, you know, that can inconvenience himself for his neighbor. Because these are the basic principles of religion. Going to church should actually impact your spiritual being. So be in alignment with the God you believe in. So it's also a consequence of unemployment, because some young men, when they see that they don't have work and they look at themselves, they think they look fine, they have some good suits.
They can speak
they can speak well, so they become pastors and with no depth. You know, and such guys are open to being used. I mean, some guys can use them to launder money, and the money will look as if it's a donation to church and all that. So
Sure.
they allow themselves to be used for all manner of rubbish. These are the kind of people that you know, will abuse people who come to their church, because that spiritual depth is not there.
Lacks.
You do not become a pastor or a priest just because you have a fine face or you
Yeah.
can talk before the public.
You're trying
You
to
become a
make
pastor or a
living.
priest because you have been called to serve. It's a call to service. It's a call to service, to give up the self. Growing up, I see pastors and priests who sacrifice their cars, their resources for the betterment of the church member. But now, you see a young man who is a pastor, and the next thing is asking you is for the church to buy the best car for him. We have to go back to drawing board and begin to correct this from, you know, from the kindergarten stage.
Speaking of adults being part of the problem, now
Yes.
this next story, let me read it out, yeah? A 49-year-old man, Ubong Akpan, has been arrested for defiling his 12-year-old daughter.
Yes.
Hold on. For 5 years. And now it was actually the daughter who had to go to the police station to report, like, I am 12 years and my father has been sleeping with me since I was 7.
Yes.
And now when the police went to the house, you know, to arrest the man, and they asked the wife, why have you been silent? She said because she doesn't want to carry their problem out. She doesn't want to wash their dirty linens
You know.
out. First of all, I do not know where they got that saying from to
Yeah.
begin with.
Why are you
Now,
surprised?
they are damaging a child
Yeah.
because they do not want to wash their dirty linens outside. Now, the fantastic part, the man's excuse was that, why are you sleeping with your own daughter? It's not so, if it's somebody's daughter, it's also wrong, but it's somebody's daughter, it is your own daughter. And his excuse was that his wife is no longer attractive. People of the Lord, his own wife was no longer attractive to him. Now, his daughter became attractive to him from 7 years old.
You
Please
know,
help me make sense of this.
You know, it doesn't make any
Adults.
sense under any imaginable circumstance or situation, because first of all, the man, we have to approach it from the legal and psychological aspects.
Yes, please.
Then you see that in a society that works, the man should, the first port of call should be to do a psychological
Psychiatric evaluation.
a psychiatric evaluation of the man to ascertain his level of sanity. Then, from a legal point of view, he's an adult, and adults should actually face the consequences of their crime. You know, I mean, incest is outlawed in Nigeria. Rape attracts heavy punishment. So the bottom line is that sometimes, as a lawyer, I've seen cases that are put under the carpet. You
The
report to
whole
the
law,
police.
that is my
The
major
police will tell you
concern.
that, oh, I've seen a case where the police were like, oh, we see this case every
It's a
day.
family
You know,
issue,
somebody
take it
was
on.
freaking out, and they said, no, why are you freaking out? We see that you see an abnormality every day
Does
does
not
not make
make
it
it
normal.
normal. That's
so
another problem.
This child has been somehow ruined for life psychologically.
Yeah, actually.
So it will take a good, a lot of
Counseling.
counseling is the right word,
rehabilitation.
rehabilitation, mental rehabilitation, to make her begin to come back to, regain her confidence,
yes.
and to begin to try to forget about what happened, to live a normal life. These are the
It's quite
issues
sad.
that we need to,
Look into.
they are interlinked. Poverty breeds crime,
Crime.
and when a poor man's daughter has been raped, he doesn't have the wherewithal
To
in
pursue
himself to
things.
pursue it. Then it also links to the inefficiency of the state actors, because as a man whose daughter has been raped, you need not spend 1 naira to prosecute the case.
prosecute
Once
the
your duty is to report the crime,
And
once
then
you report
they
the
take
crime,
it
police
up.
takes it up. The
Into
policeman
it.
is a victim. A young girl or a young boy who
Is
has
a
been abused is a
victim.
victim. The poor family,
Is
they
a
are victim.
and potential
And everybody
people,
who,
victims.
it's a holistic issue that we have
it's quite
to
sad.
we have to
if
look
we
into.
continue talking about, the cases in Nigeria, in short, the issues that are eating up Nigeria right now, we are not going to live here. But for today, we are going to have to call it a day. Thank you so much for joining us on
It's a
set
pleasure.
today.
It's a
Coming
pleasure.
on set
It's a
today.
pleasure.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you. You guys are doing a great job.
I learned so much.
Yeah.
I am sure that my audience learned a lot too. And you watching at home, I'm sure you learned something. Also tell us what you think. Don't forget to drop your contributions and your comments on the comment section or on our website. Make sure to follow us on social media, Instagram at AETV Live, Facebook at AETV, Twitter at AETV. Do not forget, remember, it is your opinion that matters. All these things that he's talking, we will talk and talk until at the end of the day, it's talk that we have. So your opinion means so much to me. I believe that in talking one day we'll find a headway. And it is me again, Magdalene Tuku, coming to you live from AETV, Lagos, Nigeria. See you next time. Thank you for watching.